On June 25, 2018, Kelly Yakich experienced a cramp that shot all around her body. Instantly then, she knew that something was up. So Yakich and her husband rushed to the hospital, only to find out some shocking news. There was a baby growing behind her ribs. Hello, wonderful people. I'm Scott Leffler for WonderBot, and here is. In 2018, a woman started feeling contractions and found that a baby was growing behind her ribs. Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. Michigander Yakich and her partner John had built their family of 5 in the Great Lakes state. Although their path to parenting 3 boys hadn't always been smooth, the couple's third son, you see, had also come in the world as a great surprise, as the mom would explain to Insider in 2018. Yakich recalled to the website that back in 2013 she'd felt a flutter in her belly, with that sensation subsequently prompting her to take a pregnancy test. "I didn't even show or experience any kinds of symptoms of being pregnant," she explained. And when Yakich found out that she was indeed with child, she assumed that she was only a few weeks along at that point. During this delicate stage, though, something terrifying happened to Yakich. Then the mom of 2 began to bleed, and as a result she headed to the emergency room fearing the worst. That's because in many cases, bleeding within the first 3 months of pregnancy may be an indication that a woman has miscarried. But the blood wasn't a sign that there were problems with Yakich's baby. Instead, it actually signaled that he was ready to be delivered and that he was coming right away. Within an hour of her arrival at the hospital, in fact, Yakich had given birth to her third son, Bo. "I thought Bo was the last child, and a big surprise," Yakich added to NBC affiliate WEYI in June 2018. And she'd taken steps to ensure that was actually the case. The Michigan native explained to Insider, you see, that she'd been diligently receiving the birth control shot, Depo-Provera. And Yakich's chosen method of contraception ought to have been an effective one, according to Yale School of Medicine professor Dr. Mary Jane Minkin. "The chance of getting an unintended pregnancy on Depo-Provera is very small," Minkin said to Insider. So Yakich had both taken steps to prevent a pregnancy and had never had any indications that she could somehow be expecting again. Certainly, according to the mom, her body hadn't changed noticeably before the night she experienced that excruciating cramp. "I was still wearing my normal clothes at this time," Yakich later revealed to WNEM. "I didn't have any prior pains or feel any movements either." As a result, Yakich and her husband John had expected those June 2018 days to be much like any others, and so they approached them accordingly. "We had nothing to do on that weekend," John admitted to WNEM. "We were making other plans, but life made other plans for us." It all began on June 25, 2018, when Yakich awoke feeling like she'd had to go to the bathroom. Nothing out of the ordinary. After that, however, the mom of 3 experienced a feeling of pain that stretched from her back to her front, as she later explained to Insider. Then Yakich recalled, "There was a lot of pressure, and all of a sudden I started bleeding. I knew something was wrong. So in the early hours of the morning, she and John rushed to the hospital, where they would hear news that they would never have expected. At the hospital, they put the ultrasound on me, and the doctor said, 'Well, there's a baby in there.' I was in utter shock. My poor husband was in just as much shock as I was," Yakich recalled. She'd been taking birth control to prevent such a development after all. But regardless of how much Yakich's birth control injections had reduced the probability of her becoming pregnant, there's no contraceptive method that's 100% effective. On top of that, doctors had an explanation for why Yakich hadn't noticed any significant changes to her body. Namely, the medical professionals assumed that Yakich's undetected baby-to-be had developed behind her ribs and up against her back, she told WNEM. As a consequence then, there'd been no belly bump to indicate that he was growing inside of her. What's more, Yakich revealed to Insider, her first surprise pregnancy had probably developed in the same way. "That's what my doctor told me about the other boy, Bo, so they're figuring this time it was a similar situation," she explained. But the shock of all this information may have paled in comparison to what happened next. Yes, the baby was apparently on its way, and this development left Yakich stunned. When the doctor said that he could see the head, I was like, "Oh my God," she later revealed to WEYI. In fact, Yakich barely even had time to prepare for this major milestone. Within an hour of finding out she was pregnant, she'd given birth to her 4th baby, who weighed in at 6 pounds and 4 ounces. plus the delivery of Yakich's healthy son, whom she later named Gunnar Hunter, was an unusual occurrence for the medics present. They don't normally deliver babies at that hospital, she told Insider. The doctor said it was only his 5th delivery in his entire career. And to Yakich's husband John, the whole experience was understandably surreal too. "It kind of feels like a dream, but I pinched myself and it hurt, so I knew it was real," he revealed to WEYI. "It's like they say, anything can happen, you just never know." Still, some who heard Yakich's story didn't believe that the couple were really unaware that they were expecting a baby. To these doubters, John had an explanation. "I don't believe it myself, and it happened to me," he admitted. "When your life changes in a split second, it's hard to process." And Yale's Dr. Minkin told Insider that it isn't unheard of for an expectant mother to have no idea that she's pregnant. In fact, the professor revealed that she had had personal experience of such a situation. "Not only does this happen, but I've seen patients with this," Minkin confirmed. Of course, in the vast majority of cases, pregnancy is palpable in a multitude of ways, with Minkin going on to describe the most typical sensations. "Obviously, when most people are pregnant, they certainly feel larger," she said. "They feel pressure on different organs and they usually pee more frequently. Then as the baby develops, further signs usually present themselves to moms-to-be. After about 18 to 20 weeks, basically by the 5th month, you usually start feeling some movement," Minkin continued. "One of my patients who had twins described it as like having an octopus in there." And the professor also addressed how some people fail to detect these sensations. A number of expectant mothers don't recognize the indications of pregnancy because they have a sense of denial about their situation, Minkin divulged. In other cases, though, physical signs are simply less prominent, as had been the case with Yakich. For instance, some women may have their uteruses positioned further inside their bodies, which in turn may make their baby bumps less noticeable. In addition, heavier parents-to-be may not be able to detect the visual signs of pregnancy either. And the placenta, which brings nutrients and oxygen to the growing baby, can also play a role, according to Minkin. She continued, "When the placenta sits in the front part of the uterus, what we call an anterior placenta, it does blunt some of the fetal activity. In other words, expectant mothers may not be able to feel their growing babies inside them." For 18-year-old Saffron Heifer, though, her unexpected pregnancy seemingly all came down to her baby's positioning. The teenager told Lad Bible in December 2018 that she'd kept up with her normal routine, which included trips to the tanning salon as well as regular workouts. As such, Heifer had maintained her taut stomach. On top of that, Heifer, as was the case with Yakich, had used contraception in the form of birth control pills. She did note a change in her appetite, however, as she began reaching for ice cream cones, strawberries, and lettuces more often. But Heifer thought that she bought those foods more often because they were available at discount, not because she craved them. It took a trip to the gym, in fact, to make the teen realize that something was different. "I was doing sit-ups with my mom. We were laughing that my belly goes in a funny triangle shape. It just didn't click. Even my mom said she didn't think for a moment that I could be pregnant," Heifer recalled. Then, though, Heifer's mom saw something that gave her pause for a thought: the pigmented line running down her daughter's stomach. With that, she suggested that Heifer take a pregnancy test. And Heifer agreed, although she felt that it was impossible she could be expecting without her knowledge. "I said if I was pregnant, then I'd literally have to be ready to pop. And I had no stomach, nothing whatsoever. So I said, okay then," Heifer recalled. "I did the test and obviously it didn't rule it out at all. It told me that I was pregnant." Heifer consequently saw a midwife who realized why the teenager hadn't noticed any signs that she was going to have a child. You see, the baby was lodged in an easy-to-conceal position, sitting with his back to the rear of the mother's womb. But the fetus wouldn't remain unnoticeable for long after that. In the end, I did get a bump. It was huge. I saw the midwife, she turned him around, and then I just gained a balloon. It was huge, Heifer later explained to Lad Bible. And shockingly, the midwife's maneuver instantly transformed Heifer's silhouette. Before then, the teen had still worn her size 4 pants with no troubles, but that would soon change. It was an early pregnancy bump at first, where you can't tell, and then after I saw a midwife, every day it grew hourly, Heifer continued. Yet, while Heifer added that she had never received a full explanation regarding the previous absence of a bump, she heard theories along the way. They thought that possibly when he was born with chicken legs, she recalled. Meanwhile, as Heifer's belly expanded, she noticed that she began feeling more physical pregnancy symptoms too. When the midwife turned him around, he became very active. I could feel every movement and every kick, she revealed. From feeling nothing at all to feeling everything daily is just unreal. Heifer's story is different in some ways to Yakich's though, not least because the teenager had a few weeks to deal with the fact that she was pregnant before she actually gave birth, even though she was already 37 weeks along upon finding the news. "I was absolutely shocked and I thought my life had ended," Heifer said. "I was only 17 when I found out, and that's a lot to take in for an adult, let alone a 17-year-old. I was just hit with depression and thought, what am I going to do? I was very stressed when I found out." Heifer continued at the time following the reveal of her pregnancy. "Both my parents were at work, so it was just me dealing with it emotionally and physically on my own. I locked myself away for at least 2 weeks of it." Half a month later though, a switch apparently flipped in Heifer. "After that 2 weeks, I had the get-go mindset that it is what it is. You can't change anything," she explained to Lad Bible. "I was just like, right, okay, I can do this. I've been strong with other things before. This is a bit bigger, but I can do this. I just got on with it, really." Then, soon after Heifer's acceptance of her situation, her son Oliver came into her life. "I wouldn't turn back now. He's beautiful. He's perfect," the new mom reported. "If you had to ask for a perfect baby, it would be him. He's so content, he just sits and sleeps and cuddles." And in spite of her surprise pregnancy, Heifer found herself thriving as a new mother. "I'm loving being a mom. It's so rewarding," she told Lad Bible. "The main thing I love is just seeing him happy. When he smiles and laughs, that's when you know you're doing a good job."